Hey everybody, Tim here for today's Star Trek review. 718 videos now. I can't even believe it. We're up to season 3 for Discovery. And I'm going to go ahead and say it right off the bat. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. For those who have seen some of my other videos, like you guys know, I hated Discovery Season 1 and Season 2. Absolutely. Season 1, I was really, really against it, which is sad because I remember exactly where I was the first time I saw the original teaser trailer. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then I watched it, didn't like it. You can check out the other reviews if you want more specifics, but I was completely against it, could not get into it. Season 2, I thought was a little bit better. I was like, okay, they fixed, I guess, some of the errors, or at least what I thought were errors, or kind of fixed some of the continuity, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, it's still a step in the right direction, but it's still not what I particularly want to watch. I'm not gatekeeping. I'm not saying, oh, this isn't Star Trek. This is an abomination. I'm not saying that. If you like it, great. I hope people like it. I know a lot of people like it. I'm kind of in the minority. It wasn't what I liked. It wasn't what I wanted to watch. And that's fine. There is nothing wrong with that. Again, so many people, and this is what I hate about every fandom. It doesn't matter if it's Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, Marvel, DC, doesn't matter what it is. People gatekeep, and they're like, I hate it, and it's not what I recognize. Just because somebody doesn't like it, it doesn't matter. For me, a lot of people didn't like Deep Space Nine originally. A lot of people still don't like Enterprise. Some people don't like Voyager. There's a million different Star Treks. Watch, read, listen to, whatever you want. As long as it makes you happy, go for it. So, that being said, when we got to the end of Season 2, I was cautiously optimistic. I was like, okay, because they flung themselves 930 years into the future. So from here on out, by the way, lots of spoilers, nothing but spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. And so I was like, okay, so they're completely erasing everything and they're like, we're going to the future. I'm going to say right now, I hope that they don't go back. I hope that this is it. This is Discovery and we're going to be in the future from now until the show ends. I'm hoping so. So that being said, this episode, the first episode, Season 3, Episode 1, That Hope Is You, it was better than I expected it to be. I was expecting, middle of the road, subpar. Honestly, this is probably the best episode of Discovery so far, for me at least, because I was like, this is actually fairly interesting. So I'm down with it. So we see a lot of stuff. Starfleet searching for signals. The year is 3188. So far into the future. So what I think is funny is, so they went 900 years in the future. That's 800 years in the future from Picard. Even a little bit less than that. That all being said, technically speaking, it's all about the technical. This is not the furthest in Star Trek future that we've ever been. That is actually in a Voyager episode where the Doctor's hologram is discovered in a museum, and then that's actually a museum. So, and that goes way, way out, which I actually talk about that in that review. So this is not the furthest into Star Trek that we've ever been. Not to mention, we've seen Enterprise where we see the Enterprise F or J or whatever the fuck it was. Who cares? So, this is not the farthest. Anyways, so lots of different stuff showing up. We meet the character Book, and this whole episode is just Book, which, I'm sorry, I don't like his name. It's a Firefly thing. You can't do it. So, bothersome. Anyways, Book and Michael, basically the whole episode. That's it. Just them two. I loved the line where it's the Gorn destroyed 2 light years worth of subspace. What? Say that again. How did we get there? So, I need more of that. My favorite character probably so far is, of course, Grudge the cat. If my cats would, I've done a lot of videos with my dogs. You guys have seen my dogs all the time. Even my rabbit occasionally. I should do one with the ferret. Have my ferret, hanging out. Anyway, if my cats could behave, I would do a video with one of my cats, because I think that'd be adorable as fuck. But anyways, let's see. We find out about the burn, which is all the dilithium exploded randomly, simultaneously, 120 years ago. There you go. There's the season. You already know it. So it's like, okay, now that's what Starfleet uses. So all those ships, not good. So that's roughly how long Starfleet has been gone. The Federation is like no more. So it's like, okay, this is interesting. I like where this is going. We see Andorians and Orions working together. This is the first time we've seen male Orions since Enterprise. And Enterprise was the first time we saw male Orions since the animated series. Female Orions all the time. Males, not so much. I love how when Book robs her, we see this alien, I swear to God, it's just an orc or whatever from like Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh, that's okay. Didn't even try to hide the makeup. That's all it is. Them jumping off the cliff was great. The liquid plant, like healing, loved it. Now I'm interested in the character of Book. Still don't like his name. The fact that he like healed her like by praying. Nope. Still just Shepherd Book going on. So still interested in that. They bring up the Temporal Wars, which going back to Voyager, seen that before. Super excited. Kind of curious to see where it's going. Oh God, let's see. Then when they finally gang up on them, like, and they're just like trying to steal the sticky hold. I was like, okay, what's going on? I noticed. So we got the human, we got a Tellarite, we got an Andorian. No, and we got, who else is there? It's the Tellarite, the Andorians. Yeah, it's the Andorian, the Tellarite, and the human. And I was like, oh, look at this. We are like 3/4 of the way to forming a new Federation right there. All we need is a Vulcan. We got ourselves a team. And then I was like, wait, what was that? And I backed it up. And then, of course, there's a better shot later on. But there's Gorn. No, it's not. It's Morn. It's Morn. And I was like, it's obviously not Morn, but it's the species of Morn. For those, I don't know what the species is. Didn't look it up. Didn't really care. But for those who don't know who Morn is, for one, you should be ashamed of yourself. Number two, he is one of the best characters in Deep Space Nine, and absolutely loved it. I was super excited because you've never really seen any other of his kind other than Morn in Deep Space Nine. So loved it, thought it was great. The final scene was a little too heavy-handed for me. I'm not gonna lie, where we meet Sahil, who we saw at the very beginning, and you're like, who the fuck is that guy? And then we see him now, and it turns out, like, his ancestors have been part of the Starfleet, and he's not commissioned because it takes a commissioned officer, and of course, that's Michael, because she can do no fucking wrong in this series, which is part of the reason I don't like her. She's what ruins the series for me. And, like, even this episode, literally, if you switched her out with anybody else, it would have been that much better, because I just don't like her as a character. And like raising the flag, which is actually the same flag I have hanging on the outside of my house. But I was like, oh, look at this. So overall, like, we're trying to get the Federation back together. I'm really curious to see, like, I watched the trailer for like this season. So we know they kind of get to Earth, or it looked like they get to Earth. So there's Starfleet, which is like the Earth's government. And then there's Federation, which Starfleet is a part of. So I'm curious. We know, like, I think the Federation is done 120 years ago. I'm curious about Starfleet specifically and kind of Earth's, like, what's going on with Earth. So lots of stuff going on. I'm not going to lie. It was probably the best episode of Discovery so far. Sets up lots of questions that hopefully get answered. But overall, I did really kind of enjoy it. I thought it was interesting. I do like Book, I just don't like his name, and it was really kind of, so when season 1 came out, I was 100% against the Klingons. I hate the way they look, I hate what they did to them, I hate everything about them, and then when we got to, like, season 2, and they're like, oh, now we have hair again, I was like, ooh, yay. Still bothersome. That being said, I do really like what they did with the Andorians. Andorians looked amazing. Really, really well done. Absolutely loved them. The Orions didn't really change much. I'm fine with them. The Tellarites, I didn't get a good look at. If you look at the Tellarites from the original series, and you look at like the Tellarites from Enterprise, they do kind of update a little bit. They change, but it's not bad. It's for the better. So I was like, that's fine. But the Andorians looked fantastic with like the ridge on their cheek or whatever. Thought it was great. So curious what you guys think. Lots going on for this season. Like, what do you think about all of the different references, like the burn, the Andorians, the Orions, everything, Morn's race? Go ahead, let me know. Lots to talk about. Looking forward to your comments. Thank you for subscribing. It means a lot, and I will see you guys next week.